The other day, Conor McGregor attended a BKFC press conference, and he was clearly coked out of his mind. There were some crazy moments from the press conference we're going to check out. But one thing I didn't really see that much on social media that I saw when I watched the entirety of this press conference, yes, I watched an hour and 37-minute BKFC press conference, skimmed a little bit, was him basically trashing the UFC, flat out calling them out and criticizing them at the presser. I feel like nobody wrote an article even about that. Did not see that anywhere in the MMA media. So we're going to break it all down. We're going to check it out. But let's just be honest. Essentially, Conor on coke is BKFC's entire promotional strategy for their company. They're really just like, oh man, we're going to get Conor hopped up out there screaming into the microphone. And that's how we're going to promote this organization. And also at the end of this video, there's some recent photos that have surfaced of Conor McGregor we're going to get to, because I believe it really kind of ties back to that civil suit Conor McGregor was in earlier this year. But we'll get to that later. Let's start off, okay? There's a bunch of crazy clips from this press conference. This press conference was like the combat sports world Jerry Springer, essentially. But this is Conor being introed into the press conference. Check this out. Nothing too crazy about that. This is a damn near 40-year-old man essentially trying to act like some type of movie character, but not too bad. Not too bad until he gets up to the mic. Again, BKFC's entire promotional strategy is to get a coked up Conor McGregor screaming into the mic. And honestly, I don't feel like anybody really talks about how this is eventually going to end badly. This is going to end very badly. He did hint at a UFC return in this as well. I forgot to mention that off the jump. He did also hint at a UFC return, which we're going to check out in this video as well. You guys know my thoughts on that if you've been watching the channel at all. But yeah, this is Conor promoting BKFC. Check it out.
Knuckle, we have assembled our very first inaugural World Champion Summit before you all. Well, as you can see beside me and in front of me, some of the baddest men and women to ever grace planet Earth. This is what we're about here at Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, the alien of combat sport. And may we rise above the night sky and rain down blows viciously on all our deniers. And announce here today that Bare Knuckle FC has no love for the big glove. So let's get going, Bare Knuckle. Let's go, Florida, and let's announce some incredible matchups, some shock signings.
You know what? Even though this is BKFC's entire strategy, honestly, it's kind of refreshing compared to Dana White, who looks like he's being held at gunpoint to announce matchups that don't even make sense and nobody actually wants. So maybe this will work out. We'll watch a little bit more of this particular sequence here.
And the most lucrative tournament in all of combat sport, where we crown in an open weight the baddest man on the planet. Let's go give it up. Come on.
He's like, what am I saying again? Real quick, sorry. What am I saying again?
Our first shock signing, who was in the building today, UFC veteran Thiago Santos. Welcome to the Bare Knuckle FC familia.
Look how red he is. Look how he literally looks like a cherry tomato. A red cherry tomato. I mean, this is insane. I don't think this is sunburn. This is drug abuse, okay? It's very, very clear. Anybody who looks at him sees it's drug abuse. And you know what's crazy? If something happens to Conor one day because of this, everyone's gonna be like, man, nobody gave him help. Everyone just sat idly by. I mean, I don't know what you do, because Conor strikes me as the type of guy that surrounds himself by yes men who look at Conor as their meal ticket. But man, I think this is just sad to watch. You know, I know people are like I've seen a lot of like the MMA Twitter sphere reposting some of the clip I just showed you. Like, man, Conor really knows how to promote. Well, in comparison to Dana White, who completely has shit the bed and is checked out of UFC over the last couple of years, sure. But really, I just see a guy who's clearly dealing with substance abuse issues screaming into a microphone, looking like he's about to have an aneurysm. Let's carry on a little bit more.
Get up here and stand here with the big boss.
This is like that stream that who remembers the gambling stream he did like last year or something? I did a video on that. It's on the channel. But let's jump ahead, okay? This guy cannot stay still at all, okay? He just paces back and forth. Watch, David Feldman is here talking at the presser. Now, granted, I don't think Yoel understood what was going on because he just came up and sat in Conor McGregor's spot. But just watch Conor in the background. Is this a normal person? Is this a normal, almost 40-year-old grown man? Look at the way he acts here.
All right, so now we have a few more announcements we're going to make. Just hold tight because we got so many tonight. We're going to announce our next 2 international shows. September 27th will take place in Manchester, UK. It's going to be an incredible show. It will feature the debut of our newest signing, another one of our newest signings, former 2-time super middleweight boxing world champion James DeGale.
He's checking out the crowd. He's like, who am I going to take to my hotel room tonight? He can't stay still. He can't stay still at all. And I know people are going to be like, Joey, you're just analyzing minute things. No, this is an hour press conference. I'm just showing you a couple clips to go through this quickly. Next clip we're going to get to is just him straight up acting like a weirdo. Again, he can't stay still. Check this out.
Just want to announce, a lot of you guys may not have heard of this, but we just want to announce the majority acquisition of a company out of Asia called Leftway. So BKFC now is the majority partner in Leftway.
What were those head clashes he was doing? I don't know. I don't know. This is just, it's honestly humiliating. And he's literally, it reminds me, you know, you hear the olden days where they used to take people with like disabilities and have them at like the circus and people would pay to come look at like a small person or somebody that had some type of disability or physical condition. That's what Conor is to BKFC. They're like, oh yeah, it's funny. Conor's coked up 24/7. Let's bring him out. He'll have all this intensity. He might not live to see another day, but let's have him at the press conference. This press conference was insane. By the way, I wanted to show you guys this just to prove that I watched this entire presser. Let me actually skip ahead a little bit, okay? Because just to prove to you that I watched this entire presser, and this press conference, honestly, it was just Jerry Springer-esque. Watch this clip. I don't even know who these women are. I think this was the woman that Conor was dancing with at one point in front of his wife, or his girlfriend, I guess, or his fiance, whatever. But check this out.
Suck more dicks. That's why you can't make weight. You got too much cum in your throat, bitch.
This was the entire press conference, stuff like this. I don't know what's going on with BKFC at all. That was the entire presser. She doesn't even know what to say back. Somebody says, oh, you just mad because you can't get none, but I'm not even going to play that clip. Let's go back to Conor McGregor, okay? I just wanted to prove to you guys. I sat through the entirety of this. Skimmed a little bit here and there, a few seconds here and there, but watch the entire thing. Next clip I'm going to show you is where it really starts to go off the rails. It's Conor McGregor and Mike Perry getting into a face-off here. Check this out.
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense. We haven't seen Conor in the ring in a while, but I know he loves bare knuckle, and I'd love to face off against him anytime.
By the way, you'll see here in a second, when you're making Mike Perry look like the normal, rational adult in the room, we got an issue.
Anytime we're looking for the action.
Yeah, you're welcome back, because I welcomed you back. Yeah. October 11th is your date, and you'll dance for me, boy. You'll dance for the owner, and then we can talk. But your date is October 11th. Yeah. Michael Perry, the return of Platinum. And we've got some hell of an announcement for an opponent for you. One of the baddest men to ever grace the Ultimate Fighting Championship when it comes to bare knuckle, and he's going to throw down with you in front of me for my viewing pleasure, and then I'll decide if you're worthy.
Can't argue with that.
It's hard to argue with that, Platinum.
Yeah, hard to argue with that, Platinum. By the way, I feel like nobody discusses this. Does anyone else find it humiliating? Conor keeps talking about fighting a Mike Perry, you know, teasing Chandler at the White House and, you know, squaring off with Mike Perry in the BKFC cage, squaring off with this guy, squaring off with this guy, talking about fighting, talking about doing this. But instead, all he's doing is out graping up a storm, on drugs 24/7, acting like he's still a fighter. And what has it been? 4 years? It's been over 4 years. It's been over 4 years. He hasn't stepped in the cage since July 2021, but he continues to do these type of antics just to kind of keep his name relevant. You know, I know he was the biggest star in the sport for a long time, but it's actually quite sad that he never actually seems to have any intention of actually stepping in there, even though he says he will. You know, he teases it here, he teases it there. There's some definite back and forth between him and the UFC. I do believe if Conor does fight again, it will be next year, because there's a chance he has a sunset clause in his contract. But I've talked about that way too much in other videos. We're not going to get into that in this video, but there's way more, because this next clip, I mean, you guys tell me, does this seem like a guy? Does this seem like a guy who's all there? Does this seem like a guy who could pass a drug test? You guys tell me.
World champion here in King Kai Stewart, coming from a wrestling background, who has done very
look at this. This is a man. This is an almost 40-year-old man with multi hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay? This is the definition of money can't buy happiness. I mean, look at this. Look at this. I mean, that is insane. That might even be the thumbnail right there. That may even be the thumbnail right there. This is humiliating, and nobody has the balls to step up. I'm not talking about like the public. The public's obviously already saying this and pointing this out for years, but nobody within his inner circles like Conor. You know, maybe we should pump the brakes. Maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit on, you know, the drug abuse. Maybe we should get you some help. You got all this money. You could probably afford the best services that money can buy. Let's get you off of this stuff. Instead, they just parade him around as a promotion puppet because he has equity in BKFC. It's sad. It's quite sad. We'll watch a little bit more of this, but it's crazy.
Here in this company, and he's against a UK crown champion here in Bare Knuckle. That's a champion versus champion bout. US versus UK. That's a humongous belt. And more power to the gentleman. I'm excited for that one.
By the way, it looks like he's sitting on Yoel Romero's lap. But again, you guys tell me. Does this look like a guy who could pass a drug test? Certainly not. And it's just humiliation. And I'm sick and tired of people acting like, man, Conor's so entertaining. Conor's so edgy, so cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's entertainment, but it's actually just sad. Just really sad to me. Next clip we're going to take a look at is we're skipping like a half hour ahead. And I thought this was very interesting because he takes a shot at the UFC here. So if you guys know, Conor McGregor obviously had a big part in helping elevate the UFC really from like 2013 to like 2017, 2018 really, when he fought Khabib. And he was not happy that the UFC never offered him an ownership stake in the UFC. Well, check this out. Look what BKFC is now offering. By the way, shout out to the BKFC for offering this.
All right, so this is really important to me. So I know about 3 years ago we announced a pension plan for the fighters, and honestly, man, we just tried so hard for the past 3 years to get it done, and we just couldn't get it done with regulatory issues and everything that it took to get it done. So instead of that, we just decided, me and Conor had a long talk, and we said, listen, let's do something that no one's ever done. Let's make all of our fighters owners of the company. Yes. So we're going to start off with every one of our champions, whether they're a UK champion or a world champion, or if you're a long tenured fighter that has at least 10 fights with us, you're all going to get equity right here.
Yes!
I'm not talking about, I'm going to do it next week, I'm going to do it tonight. This is your equity. I got shares of the company for all you guys. You guys are going to be owners of BKFC.
So BKFC giving away equity in the company, and listen to what Conor has to say.
So I want Conor to talk about how important this is.
Listen, do you understand how incredible that is? For our combatants to be rewarded in that way, to join this rise, truly be on the board with us as we rise up this ladder of combat sport. For me, I fought my heart and soul. I gave everything to the rise of a company, and I got nothing for it. Now here we are. Our company, my company, we give back to the fighters who bleed for us. So welcome to the owner's table, our world champions and our UK champions. We are in this together.
He gave everything to a company and he got nothing for it. Now that's not necessarily true, but I've said this before. People will say, Joe, you're the biggest Conor McGregor hater, this and that. Conor McGregor is the most underpaid fighter of all time. I know, people could say, oh, he's on the Forbes list, this and that. For what he was able to achieve in the UFC, in terms of pure star power. I'm not talking about his padded record where he got babied up the ranks and then he never defended a title and this and that. What he was able to achieve in terms of being a massive superstar, driving attention to the sport, the level of pay-per-view buys that he was able to garner in his prime, he was underpaid by the UFC. Now, granted, I don't think he's hurting at all, but he did a lot for the UFC. And, you know, imagine just crunching some of those numbers, his paychecks compared to what he was solely generating for the UFC. Now, obviously, they were working together. The UFC's doing promotion. But clearly, Conor's salty about that. He thinks, and he's partially right, look at what I helped build in the UFC, and I don't have any ownership in the UFC. And then he's probably looking back like, I broke my leg. I'll never be the same after that. Who knows? Maybe that drove him into this addiction. Okay? He may never return again. I don't believe he ever returns to the UFC. He's going to tease that in a moment. But you look at it and it's crazy how Conor is so bitter at the UFC. I covered it ad nauseum, the interviews that he did. Oh, I got 2 fights left on my deal. I got 2 fights left on my deal. I got 2 fights left on my deal. He obviously wants out of his deal. And if he has an opportunity to leave his UFC deal via the sunset clause, he will be gone in a heartbeat. Now, will he compete somewhere else? I don't know. I've always said I think eventually he'll probably compete in like a BKFC event and generate a lot of interest and revenue for BKFC and then hope to parlay that into a successful company that he has ownership in. But that remains to be seen. But it's just crazy seeing him call out Dana White in the UFC right here at a press conference. Anyway, next clip. He's asked about potentially returning to the UFC here, okay? Or I think he's specifically asked about fighting in BKFC, but he talks about returning to the UFC. By the way, the same guy that asked this question, actually I'm wrong. It was the Schmo. I thought it was the Schmo that asked this question, but it's not. The Schmo then later in the press conference, like a couple minutes later, I'm not even going to show you this clip, asked, when are we going to see the return of Mike Perry? Now, if you guys noticed earlier when Conor and Mike Perry were squaring off, Conor literally said October 11th. So you're there as media. You're not even listening to what's being said there. You can't even pay attention to what's being said. So the Schmo went up there and said, when are we going to see Mike Perry return? They're like, well, we already announced that earlier. But anyway, he's asked about potentially fighting in BKFC. Listen to his answer.
185 pound to 265 pound tournament. I do like the dough. I'm in this as owner until I can clear my slate. It's looking like I'm headed to the Oval Office again. So that's where I'm heading next. But I let these men.
Until I clear my slate, aka until I get out of my contract. But also, I'm headed to the Oval Office. Does anybody buy that? I am at like a 1% belief that the UFC at the White House actually happens. And I'm at a negative 150% that the UFC at the White House happens with Conor McGregor headlining. Would you want to rely on this guy as a headliner? There was a clip from last year. I don't have it right now, and I don't want to talk about it too long. That got zero coverage. You know, during the pay-per-view fight weeks, right? When Dana White goes on all the local news shows, a lot of times I watch those interviews because they don't get a lot of publicity. You'll see them with like 1,000 views and no one ever watched it. There was one news clip where he was asked about Conor McGregor, and Dana said, even when I had him booked against Michael Chandler, I didn't believe he was actually going to fight. I'm not twisting his words. He said it clear as day. You're going to trust him to headline your biggest event if it's happening at the White House? I don't think so. Not going to happen at all. Don't believe it at all. And then the most damning clip of it all is when they're doing a square off later, and Conor, he obviously needs another hit. He's been at the press conference for too long. He needs another hit, so he's hoping to find some leftover. But anyway, you'll see the little kind of scuffle a little bit. You'll see Conor kind of fall over, and then about maybe 10, 15 seconds later, you'll see him looking for some leftover cocaine in his nose. Watch this.
Two of the realest, baddest motherfuckers in the game right here. Already said that many a time. I've got real respect deep down. Fucking go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Hey, no, don't do that. Come on, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
By the way, I know this is like a squirmish, but Conor can't barely stay on his feet, man. This is a guy you guys want to see step in the cage again. Let me rewind this a little bit. Watch the way he's just falling all over, like trying to stay up. It's just kind of sad to see.
Mundell and Perry.
Yeah. And then the most damning clip, I'm just going to skip a little bit ahead right here, where it just gets even worse. But watch this.
What an incredible night it's been, and we got one more man. Conor, I know you're excited about this. Let's bring him out. Cuban Mike Tyson, the one, the only main eventer, Saturday night here at the Hard Rock, Leonardo El Zombo Perdomo.
I mean, look at that. Look at that, guys. This is clearly textbook. He's clearly abusing drugs, okay? It's very, very clear.
Here at the Hard Rock, Leonardo El Zombo Perdomo.
And then I saw this on Twitter initially. Somebody posted this. When the high is wearing off, but you have enough cocaine lodged in your nasal cavity to bring you a little boost. And just watch how bad this looks in slow-mo right here.
Fight everybody wants to see. Here's
I'll tell you guys this right now, and I've been saying this for years. The documentary on Conor McGregor's life, when it's all said and done, is going to be one of the most interesting documentaries of all time. I cannot wait for the ESPN 30 for 30 on Conor McGregor, because this is sad. And it seems like it's almost like he's our trained monkey for entertainment, essentially. And it's really humiliating to him and his family. And people are like, Joey, he's just having some fun. Every single time we see him out publicly, this is the way he's acting. So it's really sad. BKFC hasn't paraded out there. It is entertaining, but at what cost? And it's a complete humiliation for Conor McGregor and his entire family. Now, one thing I briefly want to touch at the end of this video. When Conor McGregor was found civilly liable for sexual assault, people were posting pictures of Nikita Han and say, man, Conor would never assault her, man. A lot of weirdo incels were like, man, look at her, man. Conor would never, look, he's an alpha, man. He's rich, man. He would never do this, never do that. Well, Conor McGregor was caught by a paparazzi cheating on the mother of his children again out in broad daylight. Here we go. Here we go, boys. Here we go. Look right here. Here's Conor. Here's Conor. You guys can read this for yourself if you want. Here's Conor. And I'm not here to speak on this woman's looks, okay? I don't know this woman, and I think a lot of weirdo incels are hyper fixated on women who are with other men, and usually those women are the type of women that these people who are speaking on it could never get with. But I just want to say, a lot of people's reaction to this tweet was insulting this woman's appearance, okay? Very similar to how they insulted the woman who he allegedly, civilly, he was found civilly liable of doing you-know-what in a hotel room. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, okay? We've seen it countless times on video. Conor has a particular type. And the same people who were saying Conor would have never done it, man. He's innocent, man. All these accusations, they're just trying to get a paycheck, man. And here he is again. And by the way, when you have like what does he have? 6 kids at home? 5 kids at home? What is she, 9 months pregnant again? So you're out doing this? Out in broad daylight. 40 years old with 5 kids. Half your time you spent out partying, snorting in the clubs and acting crazy at press conferences. And the other time you're spending it on the beach with another woman getting photographed in broad daylight while your basically wife is at home. I know they're not technically married. With your 5 kids, it's really just a bad look overall. I don't know how Conor McGregor still has any fans. Really, it's just a sad, sad story. But I just wanted to cover that because of the kind of connection to that lawsuit that Conor faced earlier this year and the way people were attacking the woman's appearance. So hopefully that doesn't happen with this one. Hopefully there's not an accusation. Hopefully there's not another lawsuit. Hopefully there's not a criminal charge. Eventually, at some point, Conor McGregor acting the way he does is going to catch up to him, but we'll see if it does. So I wanted to cover that. Let me know what you guys thought about all this down in the comments. The press conference was crazy. At this point, I'm becoming desensitized to it, but I don't believe he ever returns. If he does fight, he'll probably be drug test exempt by BKFC would be my guess in like 2026. But let me know what you guys think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.